Nestled in the hills of Louisville, Kentucky, stands a towering monument of fear, mystery, and history, the Waverly Hills Sanatorium. Once a place where the sick were treated, is now infamous for its eerie tales of hauntings, unexplained phenomena, and ghostly encounters. But what happened in this abandoned building to give it the haunted reputation it holds today? Was it just the natural decay of time, or does the restless spirit of its troubled past still haunt its halls? Join us as we unravel the ghostly tales of the Waverly Hills Sanatorium. The Waverly Hills Sanatorium was originally built in 1910 as a tuberculosis sanatorium. At the time, tuberculosis, often called the White Plague, was one of the deadliest diseases. The sanatorium was designed to isolate the infected in a controlled environment to prevent the spread of the disease. Over the years, as the number of patients grew, the building expanded with the famous death tunnel constructed to move the bodies of the deceased out of sight from the living. The hospital became a place where thousands of people came to suffer and die in isolation. Despite the best efforts of medical professionals, death was a constant presence in Waverly Hills. It's estimated that more than 60,000 patients passed away during its time as a tuberculosis sanatorium. The hospital closed its doors in 1961 after the disease became more treatable, but by then, the stories of death, suffering, and pain had already seeped into the very walls of the building. After its closure, Waverly Hills sat abandoned for years. But it wasn't long before reports of strange occurrences began to surface. Visitors and ghost hunters began to speak of cold spots, eerie whispers in the hallways, and figures disappearing from sight. One of the first paranormal reports came from a local television crew who were filming a segment inside the building. During the recording, the crew claimed to have heard strange noises and witnessed unexplainable shadow figures moving through the darkened halls. Over the decades, the stories grew, with more and more people claiming to have experienced unearthly encounters. Could the ghosts of the patients who died there still be roaming the halls? The Waverly Hills Sanatorium became a hot spot for paranormal investigations and ghost tours, attracting both skeptics and believers alike. Among the many ghost stories tied to Waverly Hills, there are some spirits that stand out more than others. One of the most frequently reported apparitions is that of a woman in a white dress who appears to be wandering the hallways and peering out of windows. This specter is believed to be the spirit of a nurse who tragically lost her life during her time at the sanatorium. Legend has it that the nurse was either driven to suicide by the immense pressure of working in such a grim environment, or that she fell victim to the disease herself. Whatever the truth may be, her spirit is said to remain at Waverly Hills, endlessly wandering the halls she once walked in life. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence came from a paranormal investigation team who captured an EVP, or electronic voice phenomenon, in the very same area where the nurse has been spotted. The EVP clearly says, "Help me," giving further credence to the idea that the spirits of Waverly Hills are not at peace. Perhaps the most haunting feature of the Waverly Hills Sanatorium is the infamous death tunnel, also known as the body chute. This 500-foot-long passage was used to discreetly transport the bodies of deceased patients away from the building. The tunnel was designed to keep the site of death away from the living, but it also became the site of unimaginable suffering. Today, the death tunnel is considered one of the most haunted areas of the sanatorium. Ghost hunters and paranormal investigators have often reported hearing faint whispers, footsteps, and cries for help echoing from deep within the tunnel. Some believe that the spirits of the deceased, who were carried through this passage, remain trapped within it, unable to escape the pain of their last moments. Beyond the spirits of patients and staff, there have been numerous other reports of ghostly apparitions and strange occurrences. Visitors have claimed to see dark shadows darting across the walls, hear footsteps following them through empty rooms, and even experience objects being moved or touched by unseen hands. Some have claimed to see the ghost of a little girl, known as the Laughing Girl. This apparition is often heard giggling in the dark, and sometimes she's even spotted peering out of the windows on the upper floors. The most chilling encounters often happen during the night, when the building is silent except for the whispers of ghosts and the creaking of old floorboards. It's during these quiet hours that visitors report feeling an overwhelming sense of dread, as if something or someone is lurking just out of sight. Today, Waverly Hills Sanatorium has become a popular destination for paranormal enthusiasts and ghost hunters. The building has been featured on several television shows, and tours are regularly held to explore its dark history and spooky reputation. Paranormal investigations have become a staple of the site, with many groups reporting consistent findings of unexplained phenomena. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, one thing is certain. Waverly Hills is a place where history, mystery, and the supernatural collide. For many, it's a place to test the limits of their courage, to face the unknown, and perhaps even to experience the paranormal firsthand. The Waverly Hills Sanatorium is a place where the veil between the living and the dead feels thin. The ghosts of its troubled past still linger within its walls as they wait for answers or release from their earthly prison. Whether or not you believe in the supernatural, one cannot deny the heavy, eerie atmosphere that still surrounds this historic building. Waverly Hills continues to capture the imagination of many as it stands as a silent monument to the mysteries that have yet to be explained. Thank you for joining us as we explored the ghostly tales of Waverly Hills Sanatorium. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more chilling tales and eerie mysteries. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the unknown. In 1937, one of the most iconic figures in aviation history, Amelia Earhart, embarked on a daring adventure that would capture the world's imagination. She was the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean, and she had set her sights on completing an even more ambitious goal, a flight around the world. But in the summer of 1937, Amelia Earhart and her navigator, Fred Noonan, vanished into thin air. Their disappearance remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the 20th century. Was it an accident, or did something more sinister occur? Join us as we dive deep into the curious case of the disappearance of Amelia Earhart. Amelia Earhart was born on July 24, 1897, in Atchison, Kansas, and her love for aviation began early in her life. Her fascination with the skies grew after her first flight in 1920, when she was introduced to flying at a Long Beach, California airfield. From that moment on, she was determined to soar above the earth. Amelia quickly made a name for herself as a pioneer for women in aviation, breaking numerous records and gaining the admiration of people worldwide. In 1928, Earhart became a household name after becoming the first woman to fly across the Atlantic Ocean, though she was not the pilot, but a passenger. However, her ambition did not stop there. In 1932, she became the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic, a remarkable feat that proved her skill and determination. Amelia continued to break records, and by 1937, she was ready for her most daring adventure yet, to fly around the world. In March of 1937, Amelia Earhart set out on a historic flight around the world. She was accompanied by her navigator, Fred Noonan, in the twin-engine Lockheed Electra 10E. The plan was to fly eastward from California, across the globe, and then back to the United States. By June, they had completed much of their journey, reaching New Guinea in the Pacific Ocean. On July 2, 1937, Amelia and Fred departed from New Guinea on the final leg of their journey to Howland Island, a small, uninhabited island in the Pacific. The flight was to be a relatively short one, taking only a few hours to complete. However, things took a turn for the worse when radio communications from Amelia began to grow increasingly desperate. During the flight, Amelia and Fred experienced communication difficulties. Amelia radioed in several times, reporting that she was having trouble locating Howland Island, a tiny speck of land in the vast ocean. Despite efforts to provide her with navigational assistance, the communications became more garbled, and the last transmission they received from her was distressing. "We are online but cannot see. It is cloudy, over." Amelia's final message came at 8:43 a.m., just an hour before she was supposed to reach Howland Island. After that, all communication ceased. The Electra was never heard from again. Immediately after Amelia's disappearance, a massive search and rescue mission was launched. The U.S. government, the Coast Guard, and countless volunteers scoured thousands of square miles of the Pacific Ocean, but no sign of the Electra, Amelia, or Fred was found. Ships and planes scoured the waters for days, and although several reports of potential sightings came in, nothing concrete was ever found. Despite the extensive search efforts, the only evidence found was a radio transmission that suggested the Electra may have been in the wrong location. It appeared that the plane had veered off course, and no wreckage was discovered. The mystery deepened, and over time, the case faded into history, leaving unanswered questions that would linger for decades. As the years passed, theories and speculations about Amelia Earhart's disappearance began to surface. Was it simply an accident? Did she crash into the ocean and sink without a trace? Or was there something more to the story? One of the most widely accepted theories is that Amelia and Fred simply ran out of fuel and crashed into the ocean. The area where they disappeared is known for being difficult to navigate, and some experts believe that Earhart's radio equipment malfunctioned, leaving her unable to communicate effectively with rescuers. In this scenario, they were lost at sea, and the wreckage was never found. However, other theories suggest that Amelia and Fred did not crash into the ocean at all. Some believe they may have crash-landed on an uninhabited island, possibly in the Marshall Islands or near the island of Nikomoro. In 1940, a piece of wreckage resembling part of a Lockheed Electra was discovered on Nikomoro, raising the possibility that Amelia survived the crash and lived on the island for a time before dying there. Could the wreckage on Nikomoro be the key to unraveling the mystery of Amelia's fate? Some believe that Earhart and Noonan might have survived the crash and become stranded on the island, possibly even leaving behind clues that have yet to be fully understood. There are also more outlandish theories surrounding Amelia Earhart's disappearance. Some suggest that she was captured by the Japanese military during World War II, as tensions between the US and Japan were high at the time. According to this theory, Earhart's plane may have been mistaken for a spy plane, leading to her capture. Others claim that Earhart was actually working for the US government as a spy, and that her disappearance was orchestrated for a secret mission. Despite the lack of evidence to support these theories, they continue to intrigue those who believe there was a much larger conspiracy at play. Did Amelia's government connections play a role in her disappearance? Was she caught up in a political game that no one knew about? Despite the mystery surrounding her final flight, Amelia Earhart's legacy has only grown stronger over time. She remains an icon of courage, perseverance, and pioneering spirit. Her contributions to aviation, her fight for women's rights, and her determination to break barriers have made her a symbol of inspiration for generations to come. Though her disappearance remains unsolved, the story of Amelia Earhart will never be forgotten. Her courage continues to inspire those who look to the skies and dream of what might be possible. The disappearance of Amelia Earhart is a mystery that has baffled the world for over 80 years. While we may never know the exact truth of what happened to her and Fred Noonan, their story continues to captivate our imagination. Whether they perished in the vast ocean, survived on a deserted island, or were caught in a web of intrigue, Amelia Earhart's legacy lives on, a testament to the fearless spirit of adventure and the relentless pursuit of the unknown. Thank you for joining us on this journey through one of history's most enduring mysteries. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe for more captivating stories from history. Until next time, keep questioning the unknown.
On a cold February morning in 2000, 9-year-old Asha Degree disappeared from her home in Shelby, North Carolina. Was it a tragic case of a child running away, or something far more sinister? Despite extensive efforts to locate her, the mystery surrounding Asha's disappearance has remained unsolved for over 2 decades. Today, we're revisiting the case, exploring the possibilities of what happened to Asha Degree. Was she kidnapped, or did she walk away from her life? February 14, 2000, a quiet town in North Carolina, just days after a Valentine's Day celebration. Asha Degree, a bright and shy 9-year-old, lived with her parents and older brother. Her life seemed typical for a child of her age, attending school, playing with friends, and spending time with family. But on that fateful night, Asha would vanish from her home, leaving behind a trail of questions and a family desperate for answers. Asha was a happy, smart child, a 4th grader who had dreams of becoming a teacher. She was close to her family, and there was no indication that anything was amiss in her life. Yet, what happened that night still haunts her loved ones. On the night of February 13, 2000, Asha went to bed like any other night. Her parents, Harold and Aquila Degree, checked in on her before going to sleep. But when the morning came, Asha was gone. Her bed was empty, and the window in her room was wide open. In the early hours of the morning, Asha quietly left her room, climbed out of the window, and disappeared into the night. The details surrounding why she did this remain unclear. Did she run away? Was there an outside force involved? The truth remains elusive. When Asha's parents discovered she was missing, they immediately contacted the police. Authorities quickly launched an extensive search operation, covering miles of land, nearby woods, and roads. But the clues were scarce, and the search quickly turned up no solid leads. In the days following Asha's disappearance, investigators found a few key pieces of evidence. A backpack, with some of Asha's belongings, was found along a nearby highway. But this only deepened the mystery. Why would Asha leave her home in the middle of the night and walk along a busy highway? The first theory that emerged was that Asha had run away. But why would a young girl like Asha choose to leave her home? Some believe it could have been a result of feeling overwhelmed or scared, but there was no clear sign that Asha had been unhappy. The night of her disappearance, she had even told her parents that she loved them before going to bed, leaving little reason to believe she intended to run away. For her parents, the idea that Asha left on her own is heartbreaking, especially given the lack of any significant issues at home. But if she didn't leave on her own, then the case takes a darker turn. Another theory that has been widely considered is that Asha was kidnapped. The fact that she disappeared without a trace, the strange location where the backpack was found, and the absence of any obvious signs of a struggle all suggest the possibility that someone may have taken her. But who? And why? In the weeks and months following Asha's disappearance, there were strange reports. One witness claimed to have seen a child matching Asha's description walking along the highway late that night. But the lead went nowhere. Other sightings were reported in neighboring areas, but none of them were confirmed, and they only added to the confusion surrounding the case. Despite the numerous theories, no one has been able to answer the most important question: where is Asha Degree? As the years passed, Asha's parents continued to search for answers. The case has remained unsolved, with no major breakthroughs in the investigation. Asha's disappearance has become one of the most haunting mysteries in North Carolina. For Harold and Aquila Degree, the pain of not knowing what happened to their daughter has been unbearable. Every day without answers feels like an eternity. They continue to hold out hope that one day, their little girl will come home. As we revisit the case of Asha Degree, we are left with more questions than answers. Did she run away in search of something better, or was she taken by someone who had sinister intentions? To this day, Asha's disappearance remains unsolved, a mystery that continues to haunt those who knew her. The disappearance of Asha Degree has left a hole in the hearts of her family and in the community that loved her. She may have been gone for over 20 years, but her story is far from over. As long as there's hope, there's still a chance for answers.